It's James O'Keefe, Project Veritas.
Am I live?
You are live.
Oh, I'm live. Okay, well, good.
Yeah. So say things that'll get you in trouble. By all means.
I'm always live, so I'm just excited to be here.
Hey, now that you're here, can I show this video that you put together over there with your team at Project Veritas, the Andrew Breitbart tribute?
That's why I made it, so you can show it.
All right, check this out, you guys. This is incredible.
Hello, James.
Hey.
Take your chapeau off. Welcome to my house.
Andrew and I were very different people in many respects, but similar in that we had this fire inside of ourselves to be the so-called tip of the spear.
Destroying corruption. It's another way of sort of taking on power.
This is the type of journalism that we do, is to counter the false narrative.
Going to retract.
If James
are you going to retract
guilty,
it?
yes.
Are you going to retract it? You retract the wiretap thing.
Sure, I retract. I should not have used the word
Thank you very much,
wiretap
because
in a tweet.
He had that magic. He was a human machine. It was incredible what he did and how he operated, the speed at which he lived, which maybe contributed to his death at 43 years old. And then when he died, I lost a brother in arms. It was tough. That seems like a long time ago, 2012. But he was a very dear warrior soulmate. But he had this understanding of media psychology.
This is a concerted effort. This is a concerted effort. Politics of personal destruction. You, John Podesta.
Address the issue that if you're somebody like Andrew Breitbart and you're going to take on Acorn with Hannah and James, if you're going to take on the media, the complex as you call it in the book, you go into very specific details that, first of all, you're telling people that there are plenty of openings.
He said, don't try to hide anything. Be who you are.
Yeah, but I mean, like the illegal issues and everything. Like, I don't know if
Well, then don't say anything that you do.
I don't want people to know about. Well, then I can't.
Oh, well, you're on camera. And I was always fearful. I'd go to bed at night thinking, I'm going to go on TV tomorrow. I'm going to go on the Bill Maher show.
I remember talking to you about this.
Yeah, and going on the Bill Maher show, and you wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what if I say the wrong thing? What if the audience boos me? What if Bill Maher smirks at me?
Be front-facing. He said the media is everything. It's the only thing.
Worst case scenario, and then my family was in the green room, and it was like a funeral, and they said, "I'm so sorry that happened to you," and I said, "You have no idea. I feel
that liberated you."
It was liberating.
The wall of shame at Project Veritas never would have been the wall of shame without Andrew Breitbart. Actually, Andrew Breitbart came up with the concept of retracto, the correction alpaca. And one time I was in a hotel room. This was January, February of 2010, and it was very late at night. And Andrew and I were laughing probably until we cried when he said there should be a mascot for these retractos, and we'll call him Retracto, and it should be an alpaca. And now Veritas, 10, 11 years later, has gotten some 300, 400 retractions and corrections and articles questioning our ethics. None of this would have happened without Andrew Breitbart.
Speaking, I want to throw to a piece of tape, my favorite tape of the day. You brought up James O'Keefe. Look, I want you to analyze his dancing skills.
We need a bit of action that will give this the traction. As a matter of faction, what you bring, we kick it down. It gives us satisfaction.
Andrew, how does that help the conservative movement?
I liked it. I liked it.
You couldn't have liked that.
Of course I did.
You're just being polite.
Look, I like our truth. Naked, okay?
Yeah.
So I have a different type of taste.
You got to watch that whole video, and if you can keep a straight face in that,
I don't think you're supposed to, take it
So you think it's a parody of a video?
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. It's like a thriller meets Hot for Teacher meets
Dorky Guys.
It's a
Roger Rabbit was made for khakis.
T.J. Hooker-esque. I loved it.
What is? How do you go about expanding the conservative movement's appeal?
I don't know. Destroy the left.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been my technique.
Yeah, but you see.
Thanks for remembering Andrew tonight with us.
Well, thank you. And that video, it's on our Instagram, YouTube, and everything. It's powerful. I chose the moments with Greg Gutfield when he's saying, "I liked it. I liked the artistic.
Yeah.
I like the dance." He said it's thriller meets what did he say? It's Thriller meets. He always had a way of talking. Thriller meets
Thriller meets Hot for Teacher.
Hot for Teacher.
Yes.
So when I was doing the most recent dancing routine in Miami, I said it was Cirque du Soleil meets Hamilton meets Morley Safer meets Ken Burns.
There you go.
So I kind of, him and I, like I said, Andrew and Breitbart and I were very different human beings in so almost every possible way, except for like what was in our soul. It's hard to explain.
See, you were different, but you were also very similar. I mean, because I remember him saying, like, when the dance video came out, James, he was like, I don't get it. Why does James want to do all this other stuff? He's got great content, he's got great videos, he's got great exposés. What's with all the music and the dancing? And it's like he's an audacious showman and he's getting people's attention, Andrew. He's you. This is what you do. You just do it in a different way.
Well, I mean, I don't think I would be who I wouldn't have done Project Veritas was unless I was wired that way. It's like the Corey who worked for Trump wrote a book, Let Trump Be Trump. It's the sort of same. I think you even mentioned something about Andrew where he had a way of doing things, and had he not been that way, he wouldn't have done it. If I was not a thespian or an artist, there certainly would never been a Project Veritas for sure.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, listen, it took, if anybody remembers the original Acorn videos where you first sort of connected with Andrew and that sort of hit the splash, there was an immense theatricality about that. That was a major part of those videos. It frankly is what caught everybody's attention and caught the eye, the additional stuff that you did to sort of bring attention to it.
And
So,
I think as time went on, him and I had a natural back and forth. For example, the NPR videos, which was the second major thing that we did, that was, I think the NPR thing really, this is in 2011, for those of you who don't remember, it's we went undercover as members of the Muslim Brotherhood and caught these guys on tape ingratiating themselves to agents of the Muslim, who they thought were agents of the Muslim Brotherhood at NPR.
right.
And, Andrew and I went back and forth because I was going to do the whole, not pimp coat, but, Islamic B-roll. And Andrew said, this guy is so outrageous that you don't even need to do that in this circumstance. I made a simple B-roll, of the restaurant and kept it pretty clean. But yeah, I think there's a flair for the artistic, and Andrew certainly had that with the rollerblades.
So exactly. That's the thing. He's got rolled around on rollerblades at Code Pink and other protests, and I mean, this is who he was as well. That's the thing. You guys had a lot in common. So when you were at Rutgers, you did a couple of sort of expose, artistic examples of the left's hypocrisy. I remember you were boycotting Lucky Charms, right? Because it was offensive to your Irish heritage, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was the first video I did, and to this day, it's like everyone's favorite video.
It's great.
It was like, I don't know. This is the year before YouTube existed. It was 2005. Google didn't come into being until 2006 with YouTube and Gmail. So I put a Kodak digital camera with a video option, and I said the Lucky Charms offend my sense of Irish heritage. Now, just to give you an idea of how scared I was to do this, like my heart was beating 140 beats per minute. I was sweating, trepidation, and I think it was really uncomfortable for me to do the things. And I even had I won't say who, but someone told me about Andrew Breitbart, someone credible, that he too was like that, but way back when he was in his mid-30s. He was not the same man when he was 41 than he was at 35. Something happened in his ascendance, and he he had to speak personally, as I've matured and strengthened. I think it's a 0 F's mentality where I just don't get nervous anymore. And in the beginning, though, when you're confronting the professors of the microphone trying to ban Lucky Charms cereal, feigning an Irish accent, it was like someone would say, "What would compel you to? Is there something wrong with you?" I said, "No. I actually find it very uncomfortable to do that, but I found it necessary to do that." And I forced myself to do that.
Well, and I got to tell you, I mean, I look at these pictures of you, from 12 years ago, and I mean, I remember you being, when it all came down on you, and boy, they tried to throw everything at you, and you were a little shell shocked at a lot of it. No one could expect what they started throwing at you, and they tried to say that you were a white nationalist and that you had all these, involved in all these racist things. And I remember you calling Andrew, and he got me on the phone, and we all said, we're going to fix this. We're going to get to the truth. We will get the truth out. And he was able to get the truth out and actually able to get a lot of those publications to retract what they said about you. Tell me, given what hell you went through then and how you saw Andrew work with you and work to get the truth out, how does that inform what you do today? Because I see you today and you have balls of steel, man. You don't, I mean, you feel like it looks like you've been through the war and back already.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation today. I mean, I really, for those of you who are watching, I really this is a special day, and you're a special man. We don't usually get to talk like this. I'm always on your WMAL show once a month or once every 2 weeks, and it's like,
Right, I know
it's the whole commercial imperative radio, but this is a special. You have a special place, Larry. You have a special place in my upbringing and the experience. But Andrew said, quote, don't be so serious. Yes, it's a serious issue, serious journalism, but these people don't deserve the respect of your anger. So don't give in to them. F these people. They're only worthy of ridicule. Now, that sounds like a aggressive thing to say, but he's so profound. I'm going to repeat the one line, quote, these people don't deserve the respect of your anger.
It's brilliant.
Now,
God, it's good.
I have been through, I may be one of the only men you'll ever know who's not that you know mobsters and terrorists, but I've been arrested twice by the FBI. I've been put in handcuffs twice by the FBI, and I'm a journalist. Most people don't even have that happen to them ever. And I've been through a lot in my life, and nothing, I haven't been shot, thank God, or incarcerated for too awful long, but I've been through that. I've been through some trauma. And as I go through the trauma and I've evolved and sort of become a little more lucid version of myself, it's taken me this long to figure out what he meant by that. They don't deserve, we give these people so much power by worrying about how we're perceived by them. And yes, they do have the power to influence perception, but the moment you stop worrying about them and giving them, and I think that's what he meant to say there. Of course, 12 years ago, I did not know what that meant. I didn't know what that meant 5 years ago, Larry. But that was really profound to me.
That's it's so good. It's so good. You have a wall in your office there at Project Veritas, a wall of shame, where you have been able to put up and post every single retraction and withdrawal and correction that you have forced these mainstream media outlets to publish because they lied about you. We played a scene from earlier, Andrew Breitbart and the Anthony Weiner story, and he went up on that podium and said, "All I hear is Breitbart lies, Breitbart lies, Breitbart lies. Show me one lie, show me the one lie." And they never could, of course. And so you are pushing back every time they say they lie about you. You push back and you force these retractions, and you do it with such joy and glee. And you resurrected Retracto, the correction alpaca. I mean, obviously, part of what you do with your hidden camera exposés is you, as you've always said, to expose the corruption and hypocrisy and the lying and this deceit from elected officials to the media to the big tech, whoever it is. But there's another part of what you do, and that is exposing what the mainstream media is, how they're a part of it. So talk about that a little bit, because that is all Andrew Breitbart. That's the part that Breitbart would love the most about what you've been able to achieve.
When you and I were in CPAC in Florida, I said on stage with you, I said he told me, James, just be yourself. Don't be ashamed of who you are, because I was scared, as everyone seems to be these days, of a New Yorker magazine reporter walked in the room with Andrew Marcus and in New York City, and I said, aren't you worried about that New York reporter? Andrew said, but what do you worry about? Be yourself, be open, be who you are, because you got nothing to be ashamed of. And it was this sort of liberating. And by the way, this is a guy who held them to account.
Yeah.
This is a guy who went after them when they lied, but they all liked them. In fact, I was just speaking to the Mediaite, Colby Hall, who's not a right winger, but he's what a great guy that was. I've had 4 or 5 text messages from people today. Oh yeah, I really like that guy. And by the way, unless we return to some semblance of overlap on the Venn diagram between left and right in this country, there's 0% chance of avoiding some pretty bad things in the future. So he had that ability, and I think it was the to answer your question, I think it was his openness, and I think him saying the media is everything. After my arrest in New Orleans, Larry, he advised my counsel disagreed with him, and I was caught in the middle. This very young kid who
Yeah.
doesn't know how to play the game and who's falsely accused. It's even worse when you're falsely accused when you're an innocent man and you're arrested because it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Andrew said, James, go on Good Morning America and reenact what happened in New Orleans. And the lawyers, of course, that thought it was a horrible idea. Don't say a word about this.
Yeah.
But Andrew was right.
Yeah.
And in the recent FBI episode, when they raided my home, what's the first thing I did when they raided Spencer Mead's and Eric Cochran's home? I went up public and I talked about the whole thing. And of course, the lawyer is never going to tell you to do that.
Right.
But the media is everything. Narrative is everything. And frankly, we are here. Politics is downstream from media, but media is downstream from data. Politics, culture is downstream from data.
Yeah.
And Andrew instilled all that, in me.
Yeah.
Larry.
You think about him a lot. I think about him so much. I really do. I miss his laugh. I miss him. The random text messages and phone calls. I mean, you used to get them all the time too, and he would just go on and on and on and on.
I mean, everyone, he knew everyone. I'm not that way. I don't have the energy to text and call everyone in media and politics. I have to be careful about my time, especially because I have all these employees now. But
Yeah.
Andrew always made the time. In fact, it were late night phone calls days before he died. He was he was ascending. It was like he was on this curve going up in his spirituality and the metaphysics of what he believed. And he said to me something to the effect of, James, they want us to dance with us, but we're not going to dance with them. They want us on a leash. We're not going to dance. And it was the way there's just no human alive today that would speak that way. I get nature abhors a vacuum, and you and many other folks have filled the shoes in your own ways. But this guy was able to articulate with this righteous passion where he'd be this gentle teddy bear in 1 second and then this pit bull in another. And I think the thing I miss the most is the lonely part about what I do is not that people don't support me. Clearly they do, Larry, and there's a lot of wonderful people. Oh, we do great work.
Yeah.
But there's no one. It's the fight. It's like you got to fight. He was a fighter, and he was
Yeah.
a crusader, and it was nice to have someone like that calling you every night.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I mean, there's a lot of people who work with you and work for you and are teammates with you and peripheral partners with you, but not all of a lot of them just look at it as a job, or a lot of them may look at it as something that they believe in. But if they're not into the fight the way you just described, they'll never be able to relate, and that can be a very lonely place. Yeah. James, I can't begin to tell you how happy I am that you were able to join us tonight. And I got to say, Alex Marlow was just here, and he said, no one replaces Andrew. It took all of us to do a little bit of what he did. When you go back and you look at his videos where he's talking about citizen journalism and how everybody right now with their smartphone has the power of a TV studio in their hand and they can change the world. That's what you're doing. You have an army of citizen journalists, and you've been able to harness this thing, and you continue to change this country. And it's incredible to watch. So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you. I think Andrew said we have the means, we have the technology. It was the quote, which is an electronic civil war.
Yeah.
But it was just it's been it simultaneously felt like forever, but it also, I was watching that video you just put up, and it was like, that's like yesterday. I mean,
I know. I can't believe it's 10 years. It's insanity. Hey, by the way, real fast, James, I see the great musician and songwriter Gary Eaton is in the chat room right now. And he, of course, he is the composer of Retracto, the correction alpaca. So if you want to,
well, I do credit him in the video, and people love the Retracto. Larry, what's his first name again? I'm having a
Gary Eaton,
Gary.
the army you have, yeah.
Gary. I'll speak to Gary here because since he's on, I get so many people want those retraction plushies. It's like, and I think the reason why people liked it is because in those retraction videos, I'm able to be sort of myself. I'm able to express myself, and I think people love the retractions because it's a win. It's a tiny
That's
win.
right. That's right.
But we're getting the correction and we're framing it, and they love that.
It's a win for us, and it's also a loss for them. That's even better. All right, man. James, you're the best. Congratulations. Keep doing everything you're doing at Project Veritas. I assure you, Andrew is bursting with pride every day.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Take care, man.